Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our daily interviews with successful real estate investors. Our guest today is a multifamily investor, attorney, and mentor to multifamily investors all around the country. His specialty is helping new investors overcome any lack of confidence in acquiring and operating apartments. Charles Dobens is principal at Dobens Law and the founder of the Multifamily Investor Academy. Charles, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Seth. It's great to be here. It's great to see you again. Yeah, I had fun with you on my show, and it's good to be on your show.
Yeah, no, thanks for taking the time. I'm really looking forward to this.
I know. You got my swag bag, didn't you? I'm expecting some swag from you for being on the show. Is that how it works?
I have not received any swag from you yet, but I will make sure I come up with something.
Yeah, please. I mean, something from the Great White North, or maybe a hockey puck or something.
Yeah, it's probably, if you sent anything to me, it's probably stuck in customs right now. So.
Kick it over that wall. Kick it over that wall.
That's
we need to keep up a wall between you Canadians and us.
That's right. We're sneaky. We want to buy all the U.S. real estate. That's what we want to do.
Women. That's what you do. Is you come in.
No argument from over here.
Okay.
So to kick things off, tell us about your real estate goals right now.
Oh, I am. All I do is multifamily. Actually, and I'm actually in the point where we are in the process of selling all of our property. We have 5 properties that we own and operate, and we're in the process of selling them right now. And then, my ultimate, as I teach my students, is, you got to have that 5-year plan. And my plan is, where do you want to be in 5 years? And so as I joke, I tell everybody I'm 72 years old. And so,
you're actually 72?
Why do I look good, Seth?
I was going to say you're younger than 72.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, actually, that's the only way I get compliments on how I look is I have to tell people I'm 72, but I'm actually only 54.
Okay, I was going to say.
But my plan is I can't stand, coming from a Canadian guy, I can't stand this cold weather. I'm from New England, and I'm ready to move out. So the plan is that we are going to divest of our real estate that we own now, and we're moving down the southeastern section, and I'm actually focusing on there. And I'll tell you what my goal is in the next 5 years. I want to build my apartment buildings, and that's what I really want to do, because I think one of the things, and I help students. My entire job is to help people buy apartment complexes, and it's challenging. It's a hard work to find those first 2 deals. And once you find the first 2 deals, you are in this business. But it's getting over those first 2 deals that is the toughest part. And one of the reasons is because it's tough to find good deals. Mm-hmm. And, all right, so if I end up with a chunk of change, I'm going to go out and build my own property. So I don't have to search for it. I know where it is. This is what I'm going to build. So that's what my next 5-year plan is for multifamily real estate is to build my own properties and really do it that way. So
yeah. And what kind of flips flicked in your head that said, okay, now's the time that I'm going to sell, and now I'm going to go down and do this?
Oh, well, that's tough to say. And let me just tell you something. It is got nothing to do with the market. Okay. A lot of it has to do with estates and, people passing and what have you, and needing to sell it off because of the heirs and what have you. So it has nothing to do with the market. So that's kind of, I really need to preface that, because I get so many times, everybody's always like, well, should I buy? Should I sell? Should I, what market should I be in? I was like, oh, okay. What I just told you has nothing to do with where these properties are and where they are in their market cycle in those markets. No, it's got everything to do with people want out, people want their money, and you got to do it. So that's why. Yeah.
Fair enough. So what changes do you have to make in your business now to go from that typical apartment investor to now a developer in building your own units?
You know what? That's a great question, because what now has to happen is I got to meet new partners. I got to find those guys who are developers, general contractors, people that can help me do all the excavation and the site work. That's a whole team of people that I have never had to use before. So yeah, it's building them in that particular geographical region where I want to live. And I've got some good boots on the ground down there right now, but this is all news to me, new to me. So that is definitely one of the things I need to start to build that I don't have now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And what sort of strategies are you going to use in building that team? Is it just through networking or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got in this particular market, one of the top realtors in this market, and this market is about 1,000 miles away from where I am now, which is where I grew up and was raised. One of the top real estate agents in that market is a guy that I've known since I was born. He grew up 2 doors away from me. You can't get there's just such connection there. I mean, I know how he thinks. He knows how I think, and he knows all the right people down there. He knows the type of people I like to do business with. So I've got a great start to helping me build that thing. And I got to tell you, I've gotten in trouble in the past. We've had issues with the government, and it has always come down to bad partners. And I am so careful now of who I let in, whose nose gets to get underneath the tent. That I'm very careful as to who I bring in. I mean, we got into big trouble with the SEC, and it was nothing we did. It was all because of some partner who was a cowboy. And I tell you something, I'm not going to mention any names, but there's a very well-known person who's got himself into a little bit of trouble right now. And I feel so badly for the guy because I feel for him. But if you look behind what happened and why it happened, it was a bad partner. Mm-hmm. And you just don't. You gotta protect yourself at all times. So.
Yeah. And so for yourself, when you're vetting potential partners, do you have a mental checklist you go through?
The first thing, it's more of a feel. But it's also on my part. I need to understand exactly what it is that I need this person for. Why do I need this person as a partner? Is it because I have a deficiency in what I can do that I need to bring this person in? Well, listen. Here's one of the. I always talk in rules as an attorney. I'm always talking in rules. All my students know, like they all know my number one rule, which is always remain in control of the deal. But other rules behind that, one of them is always hoard your equity. Do not give out your equity because, this guy wants to be a partner of mine. I'll give him 10% of the deal. Well, who is he? Where did he come from? Why is he worth 10%? Because don't forget, when you give him that 10%, you can't get it back. Mm-hmm. That money does not come back to you. And so that is one of the biggest problems I see new investors making is they think they need a partner. They think they need to do this. And I still see one guy doing this all the time. Well, I'm going to bring my lawyer in and I'm going to give him 10%. Why? A lawyer is just an employee. You just pay him a fee. Don't give him equity. Like that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. So yeah, so that's that. You got to ask yourself the question: can this person just be paid for? Like write a check and he's gone. He does his job and he's gone, and I get to hoard my equity. And because remember, and I know we do these things for our kids.
Yeah,
like I hoard my equity for my kids because that's what they're going to get someday. So that's the way I look at when I start looking at partners. Why do I need a partner? What is it exactly this person can do for me that I can't do by myself or by hiring somebody? That's the $1 million question.
Yeah. And like you said, when you have a good partner, it can have an exponential effect on your business.
Oh my God. If they're out there actually, and they have the same philosophies that you do, like hoarding your equity and you're doing things for your kids, and as long, and just also making sure you always do everything right. That's key. That is absolutely key. And let me give you one other thing that, without mentioning any names, the same guy, I'm reading all this stuff on the internet about what's going on. Let me just ask you something. Let me ask you, do you know who I'm talking about?
I have a very strong suspicion of who you are talking about.
Okay. Yeah. Let's just go with that. One of the complaints I heard from this guy's investors is that he doesn't answer his phone. Before you could call him and answer his phone. Now, guy won't answer his phone. Always answer your phone. It's just, my phone is right here. My students call me all the time. If there's a problem, we talk. When we were going through our tough time with the government and everything, our investors called, we answered the phone. You can't hide. You can't stick your head in the sand. That's the worst thing you can possibly do. So that's a kind of an aside to our partnership conversation, but it's so interesting, Seth, that you're giving me that look like, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up that communication part, because I think that's where a lot of people who are a little more analytical, they get behind the eight ball in that investor outreach program, where you can't over communicate in these types of deals.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, over communicate. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And that might have been what helped us out through those matters so well, is my wife and I just we always let them know what was going on. We cut every step of the way. But that is also true when you're building your business, because one of the things that we did is we'd bring in these people who wanted to be investors in our group, and that would get them involved, and then would keep them on the hook. Like, would talk to them all the time about deals that we passed on, deals that we decided not to do. So that way they got to see that we were constantly looking for deals. And so when we finally found that first good deal and put an offer in and it got accepted, they were with us. They've been watching us do the job, for weeks and for months. So that's part of the over communication as well. Let them know what's going on in the business. It's their business too.
Oh, for sure. And along the way, they're buying into your strategy, how you look at real estate, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for yourself, you've built this business. Do you have any routines that help keep you focused on your business and help you day to day?
Well, right now we have I always tell people that, ultimately in this business, you will be your own property management company. Nobody loves your baby more than you do. So right now, these properties that we're in the process of selling, because of the type of property they are, we are actually using third-party property managers to do it. So these people are not my employees as they once were. In the past, what my routine had been with my employees was every Monday morning, I got my Monday morning report. And that Monday morning report told me exactly what was going on in that property. And I knew how to manage it on Monday morning. Hey, what's our vacancy? What are work orders? What's a delinquency? What type of turns do we have to deal with? And I would know at the beginning on Monday what would be accomplished that week. And that, when you do it when you run your business that way, you can run your multifamily property management business from a pub in Ireland. Okay, because you are on top of that stuff. These people who think they can just sit back and just collect checks, or as they call it, mailbox money, and not have to work. You wait 90 days and you won't have anything to come back to. Yeah. You got to stay on this business all the time, but you can do it anywhere and you can do it very easily. And that's the name of the game.
Yeah. And that part is all about setting expectations with your property management company on what you expect to have at what point in time, so you can do your job and oversee everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And setting it up the right way initially is the way to do it. And I had, my property accountant, he handled all the money. My property manager did not handle the money. And that way I had those checks and balances going on, and I knew that the reports I got from my accountant were spot on. And the thing is, when you own your own property management company and you have direct access to, I was using what's called Yardi Voyager as a property management system, you can look at your numbers in real time. And if you use a third-party management company, when I first got started, I was using a third-party management company. I wouldn't get the numbers till like the end of the 60, the end of the 60-day cycle. And then I had to react to the information that happened 60 days before. And I was never, it was terrible. There was no way to run a property.
Yeah, no, for sure. And for yourself, as you went from property number one and you started scaling your business, what changes did you have to make in the way you thought about your business to allow you to scale to that level?
Well, one thing you had to look at is, and this is like, I use the example of Johnson. I think it was Johnson & Johnson. That's a big consumer products company out of Cincinnati, I think. So, they have 1,000 products that they sell. They have 1,000. Some of them make money. Some of them lose money. Some of them are perfect, class A. Some of them are really crappy. but they have a lot of different products. The way you need to look at each one of your properties is a product. It's a product line. That product is a profitable one or it's not so profitable. And you just have to realize that, that's why you get these people with, I buy and hold. I buy and hold. That's my whole strategy. You know what? Each one of my products was different. I bought it for a different reason. And so not all of them were that way. And you had to manage based upon what your exit strategy was for the properties. And so, that's how we would look at these properties. And as over time, we would really manage to the exit strategy so that we built that business the right way. So, if it was a fix and flip, we'd get in and get out as fast as we can. If it was a buy and hold, we would manage to the NOI. We would run, we'd build a budget at the beginning of the year, and we stuck to that budget. So that's how we did it.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a really important point where you're.
Of course, I do, Seth. Everything I say.
Of course, everything.
Come on. This is gold, man. This is absolute gold.
It's all good. I hope everybody has 4 pages of notes already.
Absolutely.
So, but
give them to me so I can remember what I talked about.
That's right. So what you said was you're acquiring these properties with your exit in mind, and I think that's where some people get in trouble. That they're not thinking about selling or divesting the property when they're doing that acquisition process.
Oh, there are 2 questions you have to be able to answer. I said this to my students. I taught this class just the other night. There are 2 questions that you have to be able to answer when you look at a deal. Number 1 is, what is your exit strategy? And number 2 is, how are you going to get this deal financed? Yeah. And that is key because, how you get the deal financed goes into how you're able to, structure the financing options to determine if this property is going to give you the debt coverage ratio that it needs, or if it's a dog of a property, if it's a non-performing asset, well then, okay, we're going to go with a bridge loan. Well, then that's going to cost us even more. So you've got to be able to answer the question, what is my exit strategy? And based upon that exit strategy, am I building the financial model that I'm analyzing correctly? Am I including all the initial improvements because it's a rehab? Or is this a performing asset so I don't need as much money up front? Am I building the model correctly in the system? And then how am I going to get this deal financed? How am I going to pitch it to my investors? That type of thing. So those are the 2 questions you've always got to be able to answer whenever you look at a deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking back at all the deals that you've done, is there one that stands out as a keystone deal?
Oh man. Okay, let me tell you. Okay, because you said early on when we were in show prep. Remember back when we were in show prep back in the green room? You said. You asked me this question, and then you gave me like a couple caveats. You said it could be like a great deal, or it could be a deal that didn't go so well.
That's right.
I was like, okay, which one do I want to give them? And so I got to tell you about the worst deal I ever did. Deal I ever did. It wasn't the first time. It was. And the thing is, when you come to one of my classes and you listen to me talk, so much of what I teach in my day-long class comes from this one property. The lessons that I learned on this property, we don't have enough time, right? It takes me a whole day and I got more to go. Things that I learned from this one bad deal, it will just, my purchase and sale contract, my template document that all my students get a template on. I did a class the other night where I went through, because people were like, well, the seller wants to use his document. Why should we use the MFIA document? I said, let me explain to you all the exit clauses in my document that you don't even understand, and why we use my document to protect you. And I started going through all of the things that I've written into the purchase and sale contract that are designed just to protect my students. And a lot of them came from what I learned on this bad deal. And it's just, that thing, I am evangelizing the world on how to buy multifamily property the right way because of this one deal. It was a disaster. It was a disaster from day 30. Okay, it was a disaster from day 30 because it was an assumption. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what you're doing with an assumption, if you don't know how an assumption works, call me now before you sign the paperwork, because I actually have a purchase and sale contract, an offer, letter of intent, that is strictly for an assumption. You have to ask for these things in the letter of intent if you're assuming the guy's mortgage, or you are gonna get screwed. That's number one. Fraud, the rampant fraud that took place because it went on so long. An assumption took 5 months to close. 5 months, okay?
Wow.
And during that time, that guy was giving us certified rent rolls. Oh yeah, 95% occupancy. Oh, no problem. And he had all the leases to back it up. And then lo and behold, 30 days after we own it, I call up my property manager. I was like, hey, we got $50,000 in the bank. We're supposed to have 100. Where's the money? It's Charlie. That's it. I've collected it all. I said, what are you talking about? We got 96% occupancy. He says, Charlie, we don't have 96% occupancy. I went and knocked on the doors. There's only 50% occupancy in this property.
Wow.
Yeah, phantom leases.
Yeah.
That's another thing I teach. It was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. He was using leases from other properties that he owned, whiting them out, whiting out the information, handwriting them over, and then sticking them in the file. And I remember when my conversation with my property manager, he says, Charlie, I've never seen such fraud in my life. I said, hey, hold on a second. You can't use the term fraud unless you got proof to back it up. He says, oh, I got the proof. And he was able to show a couple of the leases where the guy forgot to white out the name of the other property. Now, why would I have leases for XYZ apartments, Toledo, in my file? It was unbelievable. And listen, I can go on and on, but that one property was such a disaster right away. For everything that we did wrong. And now I protect my students and I make sure that they do not make those mistakes again. So, it always amazes me. Some of these gurus out there are saying like, one of the easiest ways for you guys to get into this business is to do an assumption. That's where you step into the shoes of the existing owner and you own the property. Oh my gosh. Don't run for the hills if you hear anybody say that. Run for the hills.
Yeah. So was this deal one of your first deals? Is that why you were a little bit fresh in there?
Oh yeah. Every deal is. I mean, that's why they call it practicing law, because you never get it right. It's always practice. There's always something new that's coming up on every single deal. But the thing is that amazes me is now I've been involved in, I got to tell you, I'm probably coming close to 1,000 transactions that I've been involved with. So I've seen it all. And the thing that gets me is when I'm talking to my students and they're like, okay, now what do we do? I said, okay, then we do this, then this, and then this is going to happen. And then once that happens, then we're going to do this. And sure enough, exactly what I said happens. And they're like, how'd you know that was going to happen? I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, I can tell you exactly. I've done this a million times. I hate to say that it's becoming factory work because it is never boring. It's always fun, but it is the same thing. It's the same process over and over again. So, and that's what I tell my students. I say, listen, you're only going to need me for the first 2 deals. After that, we're just friends. So.
Yeah. And I think, that's one of the big advantages of working with somebody who's been through the wars, and done almost 1,000 deals, because they've, obviously there's going to be situations that nobody's ever encountered before, but they've seen pretty much anything that can happen.
Right. And the thing is that this gets back to my number one rule. I said, always remain in control of the deal. The last thing you want to be is in a situation where you screwed up the contract and now the seller is dictating to you how it's going to go. And your $50,000 of earnest money is hard. Yeah. And you better just take what he says. There's nothing you can do about it. And that's why you've got to know when you write that letter of intent at the very beginning, make sure you've got everything in there that you need to have in there, and then watch it go through the process. Because once you do it right at the beginning, it's going to make everything flow very, very smoothly so that you will always remain in control of the deal.
Yeah, no, that's solid advice right there. So, after almost 1,000 transactions, how has real estate changed your life?
I was in the insurance business. Born and raised, as I always say, if you have a kid that is getting out of college and comes to you and says, hey, Dad, I want to be in the insurance business, there's something wrong with that child. Okay? There's something very, very wrong. Insurance is a a path of least resistance. It's a worst case scenario. I'm forgetting what I'm trying to say, but it's not where you want to be. You fall back on insurance.
It's a plan B. Yeah.
It's a plan B. It's a plan B for your whole life. So I was in the insurance business, hated it. My dad was in it for 57 years. I went to law school. While I was going to law school, I was working at a particular niche of the insurance business. I was making a lot of money. Got out of law school, decided I was going to go out and start my own insurance firm. I turned 40, and I was miserable. I hated life. And I said something in one of my classes, and I asked the crowd this one particular question. And I thought it was just me. I thought I came upon a novel idea, and I watched everybody's head just start shaking. And I asked this question. I said, how many people, the worst time of the week was Sunday night? And then I said that thinking like, oh, it was just me because I thought everybody hates Mondays. No, but for me, it was Sunday night because you dreaded waking up the next day and go and get your head beat in, for another Monday. When I said that in one of my, I don't know, I was speaking at a RIA club or something. When I said that, I could not believe how many people started shaking their heads. They were in total agreement with me. Yeah. I thought, wow. I mean, this is how real estate impacted me is when I finally told my wife, I can't take this anymore. I got to get out. She said, what do you want to do? I said, I've always wanted to own apartments. I want to sell my insurance business and go out and burn the ships and start buying apartments. And she says, let's do it. Let's do it. And we did. And from that point on, I mean, we've had the ups and the downs, but I can tell you something. This is the only time in my life when I am actually excited about coming into the office. I love what I do. I wake up in the morning, I check my phone to see what emails came and what students are doing. Like it is never a dull moment. And the way that we've designed my life, I say my wife and me, the way we've designed my life is I can run my business from a pub in Ireland, and that's who else can say that? Yeah. What other world can do that? All the banking is online. Everything. It just happens. It's so nice. It's so easy. And I always joke. I was joking with Dan Hanford. I said, Dan, for all you know, I mean, if I drop this screen, I could be sitting in a food court in a mall in New Jersey right now, and you would never know. But that's my life. I can be anywhere I want. So that's
for sure. And full credit to your wife for supporting that venture when you cut the cord and jumped right into it.
Oh, I trained her well. Yeah, it's taken years. So,
most people would argue it's the other way around. The wife trains you.
No,
is she right beside you?
No, I got my whole staff over here.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's actually the food court. The kids are playing in the playpen over there. That's what it is. So, no, I don't. Hey, give some credit to the big guy a little bit. Come on.
Yeah. Well, and I think that the message I get out of that is you sold your insurance business. You didn't keep the cord connected, which is where a lot of people I think get really tied up.
Okay. Well. Okay. Let me just explain something.
Okay.
I have to put a little caveat to that. Okay. So my father passed away at the age of 82, and he owned one of the largest Medicare insurance agencies in the state of New Hampshire. Okay. Mm-hmm. And when he passed away, my sister and I were sitting in his office, closing it up. He was, he had a couple employees, and the phone just kept ringing. And the customers were like, hey, what do we do now? And the checks kept coming through the door. And I look at my sister, I said, we would be fools to shut this thing down. This thing is a cash cow. And so 4 years later, I am actually technically sitting in his insurance agency. I now run his insurance. Swore I would never get back in the insurance business again. But let me tell you something, Medicare is not insurance. And I just sit here and like, you're talking about passive streams of income or as Kiyosaki talks about multiple streams of income. Why not? I mean, this is fun. It's like, this is a great multifamily property that I own here. That's exactly the way you have to look at it. Mm-hmm. So I technically am in the insurance business still, but my consulting practice through my law firm, that's where I make my money. Yeah. So Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
fair enough. I'm glad you clarified.
Yeah, I get clear. And just to keep in mind that this insurance agency, I have a brother and a sister, and we all split it. And let me tell you something. I love sending them checks every month. We split a third, and I'm the only one here, and we just send them checks. It's such a nice feeling, So yeah.
No, that's great. Well, Charles, if somebody's looking to get in touch, learn about your courses, all that kind of stuff, how can they do that?
Well, you can go to the multifamilyinvestingacademy.com or themultifamilyattorney.com, which takes you over to the Multifamily Investing Academy. You can send us an email to info@multifamilyinvestingacademy.com. And, I have different products that I sell on the site, but my real thing is my coaching program, which I think is the best program in the world. And just ask my students. They'll tell you the same thing. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it is a group of over 100 investors, multifamily investors, and we all come together and we get the deals done. And that's the whole way it works. It's a lot of fun. It's good. And it doesn't cost $50,000 to be in my program. Donald Trump, don't need to do that. That's bogus. So yeah. It's cool.
Well, that's great, Charles. Just I want to say thanks so much for taking the time today and sharing your success with us.
Seth, it is so good to see you, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do. I want to see your deal down there in the great lone state of Texas, where you're looking. And man, let me know if I can be of any assistance to you. I want to see you succeed. And just for the record, that bad deal I talked to you about was in Texas, okay?
Yep.
So be very careful. No, don't forget another thing. Let me give you the last tip. Texas is a non-disclosure state.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That is not a good thing. That is not a good thing if you don't know what it means. That's not a good thing. That's another thing I learned on that deal. Yeah, the hard way.
But we'll have to have you come back on, and just talk about that one deal.
Oh my gosh, why don't I just stick needles in my eye again? But fine. I will do that. I will take you through everything that I did wrong on that property, and you will learn so much from it. God, do we even have more time? Because that non-disclosure thing, that sunk us. That absolutely sunk us. But we'll talk about it later.
We'll save that for round 2.
Yes, exactly. So, but anybody on the phone and listening, you don't know what I'm talking about, Google non-disclosure states. And when you read it, don't think it's a good thing. Think about how it can hurt you, okay? And that's the key.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Charles, thanks again. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well on your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.
Thank you, and I can't wait for my swag bag.